Yeah, it looks like it's happening. It's definitely happening. And they concede because that was awesome. And see, we're ranking up with this weird deck as well, so. Alright guys, super excited to showcase this deck. It's a competitive Brawl deck. This is one of our first. So in the past, they didn't have this format. And I was super excited to learn that they have a ranked Brawl format. And it's going to make it so that you're going to have a lot more exciting games, I believe. We will keep this. We have 2 lands as well as a Mox Opal, which will be an easy mana source for us. We'll lead it off on blue. We'll play Mox Opal. And let's go ahead and play Fountainport Bell, because that's going to let us get another land straight away. We will put a basic land on top. We don't have that many, because as you will see, this deck is very glass cannon-y. It can struggle if you hit a land at the wrong spot. So our commander cares a lot about getting cards off the top of the library, and the more artifacts that we've spammed out in the beginning, that'll allow us to like store them off. So you'll get to see it. We'll play Chromatic Sphere, Nutrient Block. This turns on Mox Opal, and then we'll play a Combat Courier. And it's turn 2, and we've emptied our hand. So now we really just need to hit lands, I suppose. Alright, we got one of our speed lands. This isn't one of the good ones. This is just lets us discard a card, draw a card. Let's play out another artifact. Let's hit him for 1. That'll increase our speed. And we may need to sacrifice one of our artifacts real quickly here to draw a card. I would really like to do that. We just have to get our 5th land out. Alright. So let's repeat the process. We need to hit our land drop, and this should do it. So we're thinning our deck. We're getting those basic lands. And let's go ahead and do it again. It's always a tap dance of, alright, we hit our land. Perfect. There's always a tap dance of playing our commander out at the right time. Let's hope that they tap out here, because if they tap out and we get lucky, we'll complete the combo kill. So they've got 4 mana up, and they are just leaving it up. So I think because of that, we are going to continue to play out other artifacts, and we're not going to play our commander. It's so difficult to hit lands in this deck that I don't really want to waste Memnon and it just get immediately removed. So if they don't play anything, okay, perfect. I was correct. So they play Anchovy and Banana Pizza, which when it enters, destroy a target creature. So that would have happened to us if we did not complete the combo, and then that leaves the door open for next turn. So let's start out the chain and see what happens. Unfortunately, we have a couple ways to redraw, but we don't have a lot of those change our draw steps cards. So we'll play out Manifold Key. We'll play out Surveillance Cam to give us another artifact. Submit 0, or we'll decline. We'll play another artifact. We'll play another villain artifact. Let's see. So these 3 creatures will help pay for some of our cards. So we'll use this Surveil to put away the Flooded Strand so that we don't stop on the combo. And unfortunately, so we've hit a land. We do have a way to redraw by exiling this artifact and shuffling the graveyard into our library. So this is one of the spots where you look at all your artifacts and you think, is there a way for me to continue? So we got stopped. Do they kill Menemnon? Because if they do, that's going to be a problem for us, but we will untap that. Alright, let's see if we can chain off any more here. This deck is so fun to play. It's so weird, but it's very satisfying. And I'm super happy that I found a way to make this deck work in Arena that doesn't have all the cards present that So I got the idea from a deck list that I saw online, and of course a lot of the cards are not present on Arena. Alright, look guys, Aetherflux Reservoir is coming. And that is very problematic for our opponent, because this starts the chain there, and we will need to see if we've got something to continue the chain. And it looks like we do. With Scrabbling Claws, we can exile this, and we can draw a card, because as you saw, we hit a land, which we cannot use. So when we draw it, that gets rid of it off of the top of our library. Yeah, it looks like it's happening. It's definitely happening. And they concede because that was awesome. And see, we're ranking up with this weird deck as well. So the thing about Aetherflux Reservoir is it says whenever you cast a spell, you gain 1 life for each spell you've cast this turn. So it really is a storm deck, because each spell that we consecutively cast brings us closer and closer to 50. Then once we have 50 life, we can pay 50 life and deal 50 damage to any target. It would have been our opponent. So defense grid off the top, I believe that would have got us to 50 or 53, and they would have been over. So they just didn't even want to see it. I really thought they had removal here with this 3 black up. Or they had some way, but that's just how the deck works. If you're allowed to keep this on the board, it's just game over. And there's no counter spells real to speak of, no interaction. We're not able to bounce our opponent's stuff or kill our opponent's stuff. It's simply just this one game plan. And that's what makes this deck really interesting. All right. So here we're going to need to mulligan that. Opponent goes first, so we will get a blue mana with Gemstone Caverns. If so, what do we exile? I guess Black Staff of Waterdeep. Yeah, so we'll ship back Scrabbling Claws. We'll submit that. So really that's taken our hand down to 4. So now this will tap for blue. Play a Combat Courier. So if we don't hit a land drop very soon, we're in trouble. We have to keep the land count extremely low in this deck. I believe it's 24 lands, which is far below your 36 to 38 that's typically suggested, but we have to do that for a specific reason. We need to be able to hit constant artifacts off the top of our deck, or this just won't work. So if we don't get a land drop next turn, we're probably going to have to concede. So that is the glass cannon nature of this deck. Either you get there or you don't. And sometimes the mana base does present a problem. Alright, thankfully we did get an island. So let's play the Futurist Forge to give ourselves a redraw. So it increases our artifact count and allows us to possibly hit a land, and we did. Hit Polluted Delta. So next turn... And the cool thing about this deck as well is you don't really have to worry all that much about what your opponent's doing, because you're just not going to be able to do all that much to their board. A lot of times you just have to let them swing in and attack you, and as long as you're not at 0, that's okay. You just have to find the right moment to drop the commander and then hopefully storm off from there. So we'll grab ourselves an island, we'll grab ourselves Swiftfoot Boots, which can give our commander protection, and then we'll play an additional one. Let's play out Fugitive Droid. And we will not attack. And pass turn. They're playing Zur Eternal Schemer. And it gives enchantment creatures Death Touch, Lifelink, and Hexproof. And what you can do with this is you can make non-creature enchantments into creatures. So it's a pretty interesting and difficult commander to deal with, because they're always gaining a ton of life. And they have things like this Blessed Cleric that'll let them search for any enchantment that they want. So it greatly depends on what our next draw is, but we really just need 2 land drops in a row. And it looks like they've got Honest Work, which we got to be careful about, because if they enchant our commander, it's going to cause it to lose all abilities. It's going to give us another mana, but without our commander, this deck does not work. All right. We'll tap that down. Play this Collector's Case. Put 2 stun counters on this guy. And we'll just swing with 1. Just to... I was about to say, I thought we had speed going. There's a couple lands of ours that give us speed from Aether Drift, which gives your lands more abilities when you do combat damage. But we don't have any of those, so we've tapped this down. So do we have any redraws off of this? Looks like we do for Relic of Progenitus. Alright, so we hit a land. Don't have any Surveil lands in this deck, so they're all just basic islands, but those fetch lands are here to thin our deck. We play Doc Ox Tentacles. Let's get a redraw here. Only graveyard we're exiling will be our own. And we'll play Defense Grid, which could be good because it says each spell costs 3 more to cast except during its controller's turn. Which is great in our deck because we're trying to protect our combo. Alright, so not a lot of value in attacking, so we won't. So if we can get another land, perfect, perfect. There's one of our speed lands, and it's going to make it so that they'll have a tougher time interacting with our commander. Let's go ahead and get one in to increase speed. One attacker, one attacker. Alright, so the bad thing is... Bad thing is... Alright, we go for it. I don't know if this is the play, but... hoping that Defense Grid would be good, but they Swords to Plowshare. So that might be it for us. I'm not too sure about that play. They have tapped out. We'll go ahead and let all this go through. Let's redraw with this. We did not get any lands. Whir of Invention. What will that do for us? We can get any artifact that we want. So let's try to find, or let's get Aetherflux Reservoir and put it on the battlefield. And are we just dead otherwise? So no attacks. The bad thing is, yes, we did get our Aetherflux Reservoir, but I don't think we're going to be able to storm off reasonably here. So they played Tale of Tenable. Honestly, never seen that one. Let's block one of them just to preserve our life total a bit. Alright. Sacrifice that. Get a midnight clock, I suppose. Oh, we messed up. We can't play that. And yeah, we'll have to concede here. Alright, for once we have a keepable hand. We have 2 lands, and that is more than enough to get things going. And we even have a Maze Mind Tome, which is amazing because we can scry and or draw off of 2 lands. What are we up against? Leonardo the Balance and Michelangelo the Heart. That's a lot of words. I'll just leave this up so we can examine it. Ruber, creatures control gain menace, trample, and lifelink till end of turn. Michelangelo says at the beginning of your second main phase, if you attack this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature and create a food. So many words on Magic cards these days. as far as I'm concerned, I don't really care all that much about what they're doing. We just care simply about what we're doing. And let's see if our opponent is here or if they're just salting out before they even start because if they see we're mono blue. They might get the wrong impression about what our deck does. So there's some notable cards here while we're waiting for our opponent. There's some notable cards here that I'm not running in this deck. You would think that Urza, the High Artificer, would be a card, and or Emry, the merfolk that mills 4 and lets you return artifacts from your graveyard and just pay the mana cost. That we don't need any of those. They don't especially synergize with our deck. What our deck cares mostly about is so we'll keep that. That is a mana rot for us. It's a 0 cost, and it'll tap for a mana here shortly. It'll actually tap for a mana next turn. So our fears have to be assuaged a bit when they see us play Silver Raven, because it's not a great card on its own. So we will play Mazemind Tome, and we'll play Network Disruptor. We'll tap their land. It'll just become untapped at the beginning of their upkeep, however, but we gotta tap something down. May as well send a message. And let's go ahead and scry now. Ensure that we hit our land. That is not a land, so off to the bottom you go. We'll hit you for 1. Shortly we'll stop attacking, however. We need to remain on the defensive. Should have set a upkeep stop. In fact, I will do that next time. Because we made a mistake there, let's go ahead and draw a card. And fantastic, we did get a land. We'll sacrifice that and grab a basic island. And we'll grab a flying drone, which is another blocker, but it increases our artifact count. And we'll just keep everybody back on defense, because honestly, we're not too worried. We just want to keep our life total high and storm off with our commander. Alright, they play Quintessential Katana. Gets +1/+1, and whenever a creature deals combat damage, untap it, and you gain 2 life. This guy has trample. Okay, so good. We set that stop. Let's go ahead and scry first before we draw. Perfect. Let's go ahead and draw. Go to main phase. Great, great. Now we can play Menemnon because we set that upkeep stop. So let's see what happens here. We got a Prismatic Vista. Cool. Alright, well, remaining on defense seems great. And the turn. Let's just hope they can't kill our commander. So, glass cannon nature of this is we can get stopped immediately, as we did there. Let's see what happens. They could play Leonardo? What happens if they deal combat damage here? I don't care too much. Untap it. Alright, no blocks. It's probably surprising to them. So they'll get a counter on this. And they're going to play a Leonardo. Alright, we still have that upkeep stop for Mazemind Tome. Do we want Kappa Cannoneer? I think so, because it is extraordinarily good. We're not able to play the Paradox Engine, so let's shuffle away that card with Prismatic Vista. And we get hammered again. The only good news is now we've got a 5/5 blocker shortly to become a 6/6. And we will stay back on defense once more. It's going to be pretty hard for them to interact with this because it has Ward 4. Currently they only have 5 mana, so if they did a Swords to Plowshares, they would have to pay an additional 4 just to do that. Alright, so they play Raphael the Muscle. Some of their things will get bigger. I plan on blocking with the Kappa Cannoneer. And I think they see that. So our upkeep stop got removed somehow. So now the chain is going to start. And we have a lot of ways to redraw and or scry. So the Maze Mine Tome will stop. If we hit a dead draw, as well as the Polluted Delta, we can shuffle away anything that's a dead draw. So we'll continue to chain off here. It's going awesome. Soul Guide Lantern. We'll just exile one of our artifacts. Disruptor Flute. What ones of these have an activated ability? Looks like Leonardo the Balance has one. So let's name Leonardo the Balance with this Disruptor Flute. Alright, here we go. Is it possible that we just kill them with the Cannoneer? We'll attach the Tentacles there. We might be towards the end of our... we'll just name anything here. Forest. I don't really care on this. Let's shuffle away this land. Very few land. Yeah, we got stopped. Is there anything we can do here? This is tapped. You can play Falcon's Wing Harness. We'll attach it to the Cannoneer. And let's equip this to our commander to protect it for next turn. And we're going to remain entirely on defense. I know this sounds crazy, but if we're not comboing off, we don't care about combat damage. So they've got a rather large wall of creatures. I'm sure they could board wipe, but that would take out their board as well, so... This deck is insane, though. I thought there was no way it could work with the lack of interaction, but it actually does. So why are they attacking? They have one... They have one up, so we'll take the bait. This might just mean that they're board wiping, I don't know. I don't think there's any way for them to interact with this, but we'll see. Maybe they'll give it Death Touch? Yeah, that still is not going to work. Alright, so we'll take action there. Let's draw. Go to main, and they just quit. That's unfortunate, but get to see the power of the deck at least. Alright, this is going to be a pretty tough matchup, I would imagine. We'll keep this. We have 2 lands, they're colorless, but at least we have the Arcane Signet to bail us out a bit. And we might be able to Metallic Rebuke them. Our singular counterspell in the deck might come in clutch. We'll see. We'll play out Inventor's Fair and Commander's Plate and pass turn. Here's one of our speed lands. It's one of the not good ones. It just lets you discard a card, draw a card. There's one that acts as an Ancient Tomb, tapping for 2 colorless once you get to max speed. That's the best one of the 3, but I'll take these other ones. Alright, we'll play an Arcane Signet. And so we have 2 artifacts, so we should be able to Metallic Rebuke their commander. As long as we leave 1 up, should be able to counter that. Alright, here we're going to play a Midnight Clock. And then we'll put the Avishkar Raceway to hand. This taps for 2. So I really prioritize these lands that tap for 2 that work in our deck. This is actually pretty awesome uncommon. You do have to bounce a land, but it's pretty great. Alright, Altar of the Pantheon. Alright, so our Inventor's Fair starts triggering because we have 3 artifacts. We have Menemnon. Do we go for it here? I think so. I know about that counter spell that colorless has, but it's for multicolored. So we got stopped immediately with an island. That is the struggle is real. Alright, so Ultima comes down. And so we basically have to win this turn. Alright, let's start things off with Paradox Engine. Yeah, because that'll untap everything. And this says that we can use artifacts to cast spells from anywhere other than our hand. So Paradox Engine. Let's tap for... Let's play the Futurist Forge first. That might screw us up because the Micro Sizer will get drawn. Okay, but we didn't get punished, thankfully. Alright, and so we do have the Metallic Rebuke. So we'll be able to counter whatever their next play is. Are we able to redraw at all? Doesn't look like it, so we're gonna have to hold up counter magic and just hope that their next turn isn't too wild. So now their lands tap for double. So this could be a big problem. Let's see what happens. So they might have some cast triggers, right? Like there are certain Eldrazi that when you cast it, they exile something. If our commander gets exiled, we are in big trouble. Alright, so they play Mishra's Bauble. That's they're taking a page out of our playbook. Idol of the False Gods. We're not going to counter that, so nothing they played has been too scary so far. And they play an Expanded Anatomy. Interesting. I am not going to counter that. They can put a Blight counter on one of our lands. But at this point, it's we don't care too much. Alright. Sorry guys, I'm just getting kind of stressed out. This deck stresses me out because it's so easy to misplay and on stream, so or I'm recording, I should say. Alright, so they make our... What are they putting a blight counter on? Okay, so now this will just tap for 1. Okay. And we're not going to block. That's fine. We don't need our lands too much right now. Alright, so Whir of Invention. Is that useful at all? Alright, Disruptor Flute. What do they have that have activated abilities? I guess Ultima does. So let's do that. Let's shut off his abilities. What is the name of this? Ultima Origin of Oblivion? There we are. So that should shut off that. Let's... Okay. Yeah, super stressful because I really want to show off the deck, and I feel like they will concede if it... Because, you know, the turns take, like, forever, right? Do we chance it? I think we go ahead and search for our Aetherflux. And everything will untap. And if, assuming we get a good draw off the top, we'll be able to... Yeah, this is what we're talking about here. But we are in a rough spot a little bit here because we hit a land. So the way we can get out of that here is to spend that mana to reveal top 5 cards of the library. And then that'll reshuffle us. So we'll grab the Flooded Strand. Alright, Zuran Orb. That's actually pretty good because we can gain 10 more life if we sacrifice our lands. But I think we're just gonna storm off here. Like, this is how it's working. Every single activation is getting us more and more triggers on Aetherflux. We're at 44. This ought to do it right here. Chromatic Sphere should do it. And they are done. Let's see how high we can go. I'll play a couple more things here, but we should probably just end this just to be polite to our opponent. What am I talking about? This is Salt Mine Gaming. I'm not going to be polite. We're going to make them feel the burn. And so now we redraw with the Relic, and yeah, look at this. Look at this. Eventually we will get stopped, but at this point I think we'll just pay 50 life and deal 50 damage to them, and they're done. That's how this deck works. And we're getting the Salt Rope, I think. I don't... Yeah, and they just conceded rather than taking the damage. This deck is amazing. And we're ranking up, too, in competitive Brawl. I am floored. Alright, up against Raph and Mikey. It's a pretty common sight to see in regular Brawl. We'll keep this. We have a little bit more counter magic than I remembered. It looks like we have an activated ability on this diversion unit that says sack this creature and you can counter target instant or sorcery spell unless its controller pays 3. So we might catch them. Like we might counter one of their cultivates or something similar to that. Mox Jasper does absolutely nothing in our deck other than create mana for us with Memnon. We don't have any dragons in the deck, so it's just there because it's a 0 mana artifact that increases our storm count and or our artifacts on the field that help pay for the storm count as we get that going. So let's surveil 2 with the AIM Synthioids. See if we got another land or two. We do. We'll keep both those draws because that's a land and that's a scry. So now we have a small board presence here, 1/3. Bet you never thought you'd see this Marvel creature in a competitive Brawl format, but it's just there because it has an ability we care about. Oh, I accidentally shuffled away that scry thing. That is fine, I guess. We'll play out this Octobot. We'll put some fear in their heart, swinging with a 1/3. As they get more things out, we'll probably stop with those salacious attacks, but they play a War and Power Stone, so not great for us. Alright, so we can search for what? Guess we can get... I guess we can get our Aetherflux Reservoir. See if I counted right on that. Yeah. Will they be able to play? Will they be able to kill us next turn with Raph and Mikey? Probably. Probably. They got 2, 4, 5, 6. I guess next turn. Okay. Alright, so they'll be able to definitely get the 1 mana next turn that they need. There's a Cowabunga. Alright, so can we win from here? It's gonna be tough. Got a Hulk, which is helpful because we can mill away any cards that don't help us, but we're kind of on the edge here. Alright, so let's mill away the land. Disruptor Flute actually is awesome because we can play that and then we can name Raph and Mikey and that'll cost them 3 more. So I love it. I love it. Let's get the right one. Raph and Mikey Troublemakers. Let's check that spelling again. There we are. Let's Maze Mine Tome. Doc Ock's Tentacles. I feel like we're gonna be just short, maybe on the edge of my seat. I think we got it. We got it. We got it. Mox Opal, and we got 1 more card we can play. See, we're at 59 life, and yeah, we just kill them. Oh, look at this. We can actually go even harder with that scry. We'll do it just for the memes. Aerial Doombot, Relic of Progenitus. It's going crazy. It's going crazy. I'll just go until we can't. Alright, that stopped us, and now they die. Yes! That's how you do it. And we rank up to Platinum. This deck is legit. Alright, this is one of the better hands that we've had so far. We've got 3 lands, which in this deck is pretty fantastic. And we're also going first. So we're playing against Hope Esthine. Has lifelink. In the beginning of your end step, each opponent mills X cards where X is the amount of life you gain this turn, and it itself has lifelink. Alright, let's crack the Polluted Delta. Searching for a basic. Let's put out a Bonesaw and a Moonsnare Prototype, which will let us tap for an additional mana. That's also fantastic news. We'll just tap this, autopay, and get out another artifact. Just increasing our things on board, because those things help pay for additional artifacts when this guy comes out. So the more we have out, the better. Let's play Cryogen Relic, because it'll draw us a card. Let's tap Bonesaw. Alright, in the turn. So next turn we'll have 4 mana with Moonsnare Prototype out. Looks like they're going to mill us for 1 at the end of combat. Or end step, I should say. They milled us Pithing Needle. Alright, we'll play Amonkhet Raceway. Auto tap here. We want to leave up a blue. Let's go ahead and conjure a card into our hand. We won't be able to use it this turn. Target creature gains double strike. Yeah, that's not super helpful. What choice do we have here? Swords of Plowshares. We got Light of Hope, Ponder, Force Spike, Dark Ritual, Duress, Lightning Bolt, that Assault Strobe that we got, Giant Growth, and Fog. One moment. Alright, we get hit for 3, and we get milled for 3. Those are all artifacts. Let's go ahead and activate the Tome of the Infinite and see what we get. Let's play that Ponder. We need to get land drops quickly. Alright, so let's grab our Inventor's Fair. And we'll decline to shuffle, we'll play that. Let's play out this Spider. Oh, while I wasn't paying attention, they played Authority of the Consuls. Let's decline on this. Let's scry, even though we know it doesn't matter particularly, because we're going to get milled. And we'll just say go. So now they'll be able to mill us for at least 8, perhaps more. Now our commander will come in tapped, and we'll see if they leave up a counterspell. And they're leaving out blue, and we'll see if they're content to do that. Yeah, it looks like they're leaving out counter magic, so probably. 2, 3, 4. We're going to have to. It's either Nebnon or bust. So they have it. They have it. So here goes. And let's see it. Quite a pause. Swiftfoot Boots. Aetherflux Reservoir. I think that might end our run. Let's see. We have 2 artifacts now. In no way of redrawing. But we could get an extra mana with exiling Assault Strobe. Yeah, let's do that. Just to give us slightly more chances. But I think that might be the end. But they do have to kill us, and we have gained a lot of life. So there's that. They have to kill us either with mill or... Oh, they've got their own Aetherflux Reservoir. Oh, man. And they'll have it. Yeah, because they... Oh, will they? Oh my god, they... Oh, they had 49. 49. It's the Battle of the Reservoirs. Okay, we played Maze Mine to give us an extra scry. To get rid of this land. This is crazy. If we somehow do this, this is going to be the wildest game I've ever seen. Alright. Springleaf. Give us a little bit more mana. Sitting on the edge of my seat here. Scry. 1. Get rid of that. Please don't be a land. Oh, but it's a Capaneer. I don't love that. Okay. It comes in tapped. Oh, they can do it. They can just activate it. I didn't think about that. No, Defense Grid doesn't do it. They could just activate it in response. Things are going so bad. They could just... Oh, they could do it now. Okay. Is there anything we can do in response? Oh, I got it. No, that won't work. Sack a land. Sack a land. Sack a land. Sack a land. Doesn't quite get there. Is there anything else we can do? Draw a card. Nope, they got us. I couldn't play the creatures, that's the thing. Oh man. Wild. Alright guys, let's do a quick outro on this deck. So, I happen to be sitting in a coffee shop in Aruba, and I was looking at a deck list, something about a CDH deck list using this Memon on the right hand, and it really piqued my interest because this is a card that kind of flies under the radar in the Edge of Eternity set, or flew under the radar, I should say. I've never really seen it being played, and it was interesting to me that there could be a CDH viable deck with this. And so I took a look at the list, and I spent several days trying to perfect this. I had a lot of failed versions with very poor win rates. As you can see today, sure, the deck has its problems, but if you scroll down this list, it's kind of wild how many 0 and 1 mana artifacts there are here. I believe the deck has 74, 75 artifacts, something like that. We have very few things that are not. As you saw, we were able to chain off multiple things, and we don't get a lot of the really good lands that were in the CDH deck, like City of Traders was one of them. There was there's a lion from Modern Horizons that for 2 that you can sack it and do a Lion's Eye Diamond imitation, but we did the best we could here. Once I kept the curve down to 0, 1, 2, and a very few 3s, and then 4 with Aetherflux, 5 with Ironheart Clever Champion, which actually never end up paying that full cost because this new creature from Marvel has improvised, so you can tap all your artifacts in order to pay for her, and then then she gives all your other spells improvised as well. So she's really good. And then we saw Kappa Cannoneer shine pretty hard in some of the matches. And Paradox Engine is one that lets us keep untapping when we do cast our artifacts from the top of the deck. It's a interesting play pattern. That it does fold to aggro, it does fold to certain things. Believe in one certain matchup came up against a Deafening Silence, which is an enchantment that says each player can only play one spell per turn, so it would die to like stacks pieces like that don't allow us to storm off. But other than that, I think it did really, really well. This is a very competitive deck, I would say. The new competitive Brawl format in Arena is relatively unknown, but we did rank up with this. We only have 19 lands here, and as I said, everything synergizes pretty well with one another. As we saw as well, there are some ways that we can do redraws. As you saw, I was always looking for ways, like if we got stuck on lands, we could always, with the Maze Mind Tome, we could always tap it and scry one, and we could scry that land to the bottom. Sometimes we would draw a fetch land, and then we would play the fetch land in order to shuffle our library to help us keep going through the chain. There's also a couple other things, mild interaction like Aether Spellbomb, Surgical Spellbomb, which is a very expensive ability there for 3. You can sack it and return target creature to its owner's hand, draw a card. But those are the kind of things that we needed. So if we ever do get stuck on lands, we try to look through all of our artifacts that we have on the board and see if there is a way to continue the chain. I had a lot of fun with it because we were able to use just some cards that you would never think you would see in a competitive deck, like this Aerial Doombot. It's just common from the new Marvel set. Fugitive Droid. I mean, we're playing these as small blockers and things that help us bring up the storm count and protect us. And some of the all-stars are actually things like Silver Raven, like you saw at the beginning of the game. I would use this in scry 1 and see if I was going to get a land. So we really want to get 5 mana to get our commander out. And then after that, we just hope not to get interacted with. But it's a very interesting build. Kept me on the edge of my seat. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. On the salt rating meter, I would put this probably a 3 out of 5 because yes, it does chain together spells, and yes, your opponent does have to sit there forever, but I think the interesting nature of it and the fact that it plays unlike any other artifact deck that I've ever seen makes it to where it's not too terribly salty, but we didn't really see our opponents give us the rope. I have seen it on some of my playtesting games, but our opponents were generally decent about it today. So anyway, that's been Salt Mine Gaming. That's been my video for the week. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.